is the nomination day for the filing of candidacies for the election to the president tomorrow, even as the political picture regarding a consensus candidate is still not clear. Now, several rounds of parleys have been held between the different parties, but a consensus has remained elusive. Although a ceremonial position, the hype surrounding president's election has destabilized the existing power share, giving way to possible new equations. Good evening, I am Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. UML Chair KP Sharma Oli calls on Prime Minister Dahal in a meeting billed as decisive. Meeting of four parties, including Congress and Maoist Center at Balotar, ends inconclusively. The Supreme Court states the rape-accused cricketer Sandeep Lamichhane is not eligible to leave the country to play any cricket tournament abroad. Hearing on his judicial custody pushed to a later date. China says it hopes to play a constructive role in resolving the issue between Ukraine and Russia. Pitches a 12-point paper for a comprehensive ceasefire and a gradual de-escalation. And Triun Army Club clinch a 5-4 win in tiebreakers over NRT to progress to the semi-finals of the KP Oli Cup. Machindra also in the last four with a 2-1 win over Church Boys. The meeting of four political parties, including Nepali Congress and CPN Maoist Center, held earlier today to seek a consensus candidate for the president, ended inconclusively. The meeting ended without a conclusion as Nepali Congress and Unified Socialists remained firm in their claims for president from both their parties. Speaking after the meeting, Nepali Congress General Secretary Gagan Thapa said that while proposing candidates from the respective parties, the meeting agreed to field a common candidate. Nepali Congress, CPN Maoist Center, CPN Unified Socialist and Janata Samajwadi Party also held bilateral and trilateral talks at Balotar today. Candidacy for the presidential election is to be registered tomorrow. Despite being a constitutional position, political parties that have been abusing the position of the president to serve their interests have been making efforts to field a consensus candidate. CPN-UML Deputy General Secretary Pradeep Gyawali has hinted towards possible collaboration between Nepali Congress and CPN-UML for the presidential election. Speaking with journalists in Fidem Pasthar this morning, Gyawali said that collaboration between major political parties was imperative to ensure political stability and to ward off geopolitical influence in the country. Gyawali added that possibility of collaboration with Nepali Congress for presidential election was possible if the largest party of the House of Representatives made a positive approach for dialogue. Gyawali also alleged Prime Minister and CPN Maoist Center chairperson Pushpa Kamal Dahal of growing selfish in relation to the presidential election. Saying that Maoist Center chair Dahal was appointed the Prime Minister with the backing of UML when Nepali Congress had denied the first term of premiership for Maoist Center, Gyawali added that UML was concerned with Maoist Center violating the Balkot consensus. The CPN Maoist Center lawmaker Janardhan Sharma has criticized the political parties for portraying the ceremonial designation of president as an executive authority. Addressing today's session of the House of Representatives, Sharma expressed concern, saying that the position of president was made to look as if it had executive authorities. Lawmaker Sharma went on to add that the political parties had to collaborate for national prosperity. Meanwhile, parliamentarian Amresh Kumar Singh called for expediting the appointment process of the Chief Justice. He alleged the government of weakening the judiciary by delaying the appointment of the Chief Justice. Other parliamentarians addressing the House session raised issues of public concern, including delays in development works and recent political affairs. Parliamentarian Prakashman Singh said that vehicles worth tens of millions of rupees were getting damaged in different government offices and called for their management. The Election Commission has made public the final voters' name list for the election of the president slated for March 9 and that of the vice president scheduled for March 17. The Election Commission has published the list of voters, including the 332 members of the House of Representatives and 550 members of the provincial assemblies. Issuing the name of voters on Wednesday, the Commission had allocated until 12 noon Thursday to file complaints. Applications were filed to include the name of one additional voter and amend the names of 4 voters. After making required changes, the Commission published a list of 882 voters. The Supreme Court today, hearing on a case filed against Sandeep Lamichhane, concluded that the national cricketer who was facing a rape charge was not eligible to leave the country to play any cricket tournament abroad. Meanwhile, the hearing on the other writ filed by the Office of the Attorney General seeking judicial custody of the tainted cricketer while the case was investigated could not take place due to lack of time. Earlier, the Patan High Court had released Lamichhane on a bail amount of 2 million rupees, toppling the verdict of Kathmandu District Court, citing that it was not necessary to detain Lamichhane on judicial custody while he was being investigated. The decision had paved way to Sandeep's participation at the recently held ICC World Cricket League 2 series, where he had performed well as a bowler, claiming 13 wickets in 4 matches. Service seekers reaching the district administration office in Kavre to make their passports have increased in number in recent days. The number of service seekers has increased following the implementation of token system and time card by the administration office from February 17. According to Chief District Officer Punya Bikram Paudel, the number has also increased as the administration office has begun filling the form for free of cost. Prior to this, middlemen used to charge between 150 to 1,000 rupees for filling the online form. With the implementation of the token system, service seekers no longer need to pay the middleman. Now, cancer is a dangerous disease. Despite being a non-communicable disease, the number of cancer patients has been on the rise in Nepal. In particular, cases of breast cancer is being seen in both women and men. According to the health experts, first stage of breast cancer is curable. The number of cancer patients has been increasing in recent time as per available data. Cases of breast cancer have begun surfacing as a major challenge. Along with women, breast cancer is also being seen in men. While 260 patients with breast cancer had reached the Bhaktapur Cancer Hospital in 2020, the number increased to 480 in 2022. Around 6 men with breast cancer have been arriving at the hospital every year. According to the data of the BP Koirala Cancer Hospital of Chitwan, around 1% patients with breast cancer are men. There is no exact data regarding the number of cancer patients in the country. The disease caused by factors including heredity, lifestyle and obesity, among others, can be cured if identified in the early stage. Doctors recommend testing for cancer at least once a year. While the government provides 100,000 rupees for cancer treatment, adequate attention has not been paid towards the prevention of the disease. Now, ride-sharing, the use of private vehicles for commute and pick and drop of goods, among other services aided by mobile application, is very popular in the Kathmandu Valley at the moment. Around 100,000 individuals use the ride-sharing services on a daily basis in Kathmandu. However, the government has failed in introducing any laws to monitor ride-sharing even in the 5 years of its operation in Nepal. Kathmandu Valley Traffic Police Office has intensified the monitoring of ride-sharing in recent months. The police office has taken actions against 6,003 vehicles providing ride-sharing services since 13th of December, most of them being motorcycles. The actions were taken for charging high fares, parking at random places, and operating offline. The government is yet to introduce laws to monitor and regulate ride-sharing services. While the regulating entities have been receiving grievances of different nature, there is no clarity on legal actions. Even in such a situation, the popularity of ride-sharing service is increasing because of ill-managed public transport. In addition to commute, the demand of ride-sharing is also increasing for the delivery of goods as well. Almost 24 ride-sharing apps have been registered in the Kathmandu Valley alone. While around 150,000 are directly employed by these services, nearly 100,000 individuals use them. However, the absence of laws means there is no clarity regarding taxation, while riders operate offline because of the commission they are required to give to the companies. Vehicles registered for private purpose cannot be used to generate revenue by charging fares. For reasons as such, the Department of Transport Management had previously directed to ban the ride-sharing services. However, the directive was not implemented following the decision of the erstwhile Prime Minister K.B. Sharma Oli 4 years ago. On a writ filed the taxi operators to ban ride-sharing services, the Patan High Court had directed to allow the operation by formulating required laws. While ride-sharing services are providing ease to the service seekers, complications remain regarding compensations and insurance in cases of accidents. A 10-day Dharan Expo has begun in Dharan Sunsari with the objective of reviving economic activities out there. At the Dharan Expo organized by the FNCCI Sunsari, domestic and foreign goods are at display for sales and exhibition. According to the organizers, the expo has been held to revive the commercial status of Dharan, which used to be popular as the trade and business hub of eastern Nepal. Campaigners of Chure and forest conservation have protested in Janakpur with a 5-point demand. The rally, which began from Campus Chowk of Janakpur, reached the office of the Chief Minister through Vidyapati Chowk and Ram Mandir. The demands of the campaigners include implementation of the previous 7-point agreement reached with the government, prohibiting operation of illegal crusher industries, and declaration of Dilip Mahato as climate martyr, among others. The campaigners have added that they were compelled to protest after all the 3 tiers of the government had remained indifferent towards their demands. The question is, why have works or projects to be funded by donors not been taken forward? Your options are A. Government indifference, B. Legal complications, and C. Complex terms and conditions of donors. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the international news. China said it hopes to play a constructive role in resolving the issue between Ukraine and Russia, the Chinese Foreign Ministry said during a regular news briefing earlier today. On the first anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, China called in a 12-point foreign ministry paper for a comprehensive ceasefire and a gradual de-escalation. The ministry paper is largely a reiteration of China's line since Russia launched what it calls its special military operation on February 24 last year. Wang Wenbin, ministry spokesperson, said China is willing to continue to work with the international community to play a constructive role in politically resolving the Ukrainian crisis on the basis of China's position paper on the political settlement of the Ukrainian crisis. Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to deliver a peace speech later on Friday to mark the anniversary, in which he is likely to urge peace while avoiding condemnation of Russia. The Foreign Ministry said it had no information on such a speech. The United Nations General Assembly in New York has overwhelmingly backed a resolution condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine nearly a year ago. The UN called for the withdrawal of troops from Ukraine and a halt to fighting. The motion was backed by 141 nations, with 32 abstaining and 7, including Russia, voting against. In Vienna, a large number of delegates walked out during a Russian address at a parliamentary session of a European security body. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe walkout and the UN vote came a day before the first anniversary of the invasion. The UN vote called for peace as soon as possible. The resolution reaffirmed support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, rejecting any Russian claims to the parts of the country it occupies. In September, MPs in Moscow voted to illegally annex 4 regions of Ukraine. The UN also demanded that the Russian Federation immediately, completely and unconditionally withdraw all of its military forces from the territory of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders and called for a cessation of hostilities. The measure is not legally binding but holds political weight. While the resolution was passed overwhelmingly by the majority of nations, there were some notable abstentions. China, India, Iran and South Africa were among the 32 countries to abstain in the vote. The 7 countries who voted against were Russia, Belarus, North Korea, Eritrea, Mali, Nicaragua and Syria. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said the vote made it clear that Russia must end its illegal aggression. It is now time for the sports news.
Sports news.
Tribhuvan Army Club secured a 5-4 win in tiebreakers over New Road team NRT to progress to the semi-final round of the KP Oli Cup. In the match played at the Anfa complex in Saddabato earlier today, the regulation 90 minutes had ended in a 1-1 draw. And despite scoring first in the match, NRT failed to protect their lead and eventually crashed out of the tournament. Lal Minzama had put NRT ahead in the 31st minute. However, Bikram Dhimal conceded an own goal in the 53rd minute, which brought Army on level terms. As no more goals were scored in the remaining time, the match was decided through a tiebreaker, where the departmental side secured a 5-4 win. In another match played today, Machindra Football Club secured a 2-1 win over Church Boys United. With the win, Machindra have also advanced to the last four of the maiden edition of the tournament. Manchester United rallied from a goal down to defeat Barcelona 2-1 in the second leg of the Europa League knockout playoff match-up to advance to the round of 16 with an aggregate 4-3 win. In the match played at the Manchester United's home ground, Old Trafford last night, Robert Lewandowski opened the scoring in the 18th minute, firing the Spanish side into the lead from the spot after Bruno Fernandes was just to have fouled Alex Balde in the box. Erik ten Hag made a key substitution as the second half began, replacing Wout Weghorst with Antony. The hosts got on the board immediately in the second half as Fred levelled the score at 1-1 with a smart finish in the 47th minute. Antony scored the decisive goal in the 73rd minute, beating Marc-Andre ter Stegen with a beautiful curling shot. It was a comeback that had not looked likely at the interval, but instead made it a night to remember, a huge moment for Antony and Ten Hag's improving team. United go into the pot for today's Europa League draw in Nyon, Switzerland, while Barcelona are eliminated from European competition altogether for the season. Meanwhile, Angel Di Maria scored a hat-trick to give Juventus a comfortable win at Nantes and take the Italian side into the last 16 of the Europa League. After a 1-1 first-leg draw in Italy last week, Di Maria scored after 5 minutes with a brilliant curled shot into the top corner from 18 yards. Nantes defender Nicola Paloi was sent off for a 17th-minute handball and Di Maria converted the penalty. The Argentine forward completed his hat-trick with a header in the 78th minute. Juventus dropped into the Europa League after finishing third in the Champions League group and will find out their next opponents in today's draw. In another Europa League match played last night, hosts Roma blanked RB Salzburg 2-0 to secure an aggregate 2-1 win to advance into the last 16. Andrea Bellotti opened the scoring for Roma in the 33rd minute, while Paulo Dybala scored in the 40th minute to secure the 2-0 win. Defending champions Australia stormed into the ICC Women's T20 World Cup final for the 7th consecutive time after edging past India by 5 runs in a thrilling semi-final clash. In the semi-final match played in Newlands, Cape Town, South Africa last night, Australia elected to bat first and posted 172 runs for the loss of 4 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs. An opening stand of 52 runs between Beth Mooney and Alyssa Haley had India on the back foot. Mooney top scored for Australia, scoring a quick-fire 54 of 37 balls with the help of 1-6 and 7 fours. Skipper Mick Lanning also contributed 49 runs from 34 balls and remained not out, while Ashley Gardner smashed 31 runs off 18 balls and opener Alyssa Haley added 25. Sika Pandey with 2 wickets was the leading wicket taker for India. In reply, India looked to be staring at heavy defeat early on after slipping to 28 runs for the loss of 3 wickets in pursuit of a victory target of 173 runs before a heroic counter-attack from Jemima Rodriguez and captain Harmanpreet Kaur when they put on 69 runs for the 4th wicket partnership. The tension mounted as India edged ever closer to the victory target until captain Harmanpreet was crucially run out in the 15th over. Australia all-rounder Ashley Gardner successfully defended 16 runs from the final over to secure Australia's win. Skipper of India Harmanpreet Kaur was the leading run scorer for India with 52 runs from 34 balls. Jemima Rodriguez also smashed 43 from 24, hitting 6 fours. Gardner and Darcy Brown were the pick of the Aussie bowlers, grabbing 2 wickets each. Today's semi-final features a clash between England and host South Africa. That is all for the moment. Our next English bulletin is at 10:30 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.